I've been driving about 2 hours on this 6-hour drive to Land Between the Lakes. So I've had time to think about this whole overlanding and what it is, why we do it, and what it is about it that is just so appealing to people. And so I thought I'd share my thoughts.
And now, deep thoughts.
Not that it necessarily matters, but some people may find it interesting. But I guess we first need to start with what overlanding is. And the definition of overlanding is self-reliant overland travel to remote destinations where the journey is the principal goal. And I would agree with that. But there's a lot of subjective stuff within that. So a lot of people get caught up in what is overlanding? Are you doing it right? Are you just off-roading? Are you just car camping? And I don't know why people get so hung up on that, why they have to be so hung up on the definitions and defining things a certain way. To me, overlanding it's off-road car camping, where you're living out of your vehicle for, extended periods of time. Could be a weekend, could be a long weekend, but to me, it means you're switching campsites each night as you travel. It's that journey being the primary goal. If you're just camped at one spot and then wheeling in the area, I wouldn't call that overlanding. But if you're traveling for 2-3 days, typically off-road, most of the time off the grid with no cell phone signal, and living out of your vehicle and relying on your vehicle for everything, then I would call that overlanding. And I think what appeals to me so much about overlanding is that you're getting away from the cities, you're getting away from just all the stresses of life and the hustle and bustle of, just the day-to-day life in towns and work and, all that stuff. And getting out and enjoying nature and enjoying the journey. And that's what's so appealing to me. I'm on my way to Kentucky right now to Land Between the Lakes, and it's a place I've never been before. And I'm super pumped about that, to see someplace new. And I'm excited to see all the beautiful things. I'm excited to capture all that on video, take photos of it and share it with people. And to me, that's what it's all about. Now, overlanding has become this huge thing on social media, and it's become more about your gear and your Instagram account, wearing your flannel shirts and your expensive overlanding pants. And I just don't like that. I don't buy that. You'll notice I don't have a lot of fancy gear. I've got a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, but it's a 2012. It's not the new nice cool JL. I do have a camper, but it's not a Turtleback or one of the main brands, but it works. I don't own a Scottle. Can you really overland if you don't cook with a Scottle? That's a legit question, I think. But I do have some good quality gear. And so if you want to get into this, my recommendation is, first of all, wheel what you got. I would say probably should be 4-wheel drive, or you're not going to get very remote. So if you've got a 4-wheel drive vehicle and a ground tent and a Coleman stove, I say get out there, go do it. Or if you like mountain house meals and want to keep it super simple, absolutely get out there, go out, explore just get out in it and go have some fun. Do not get caught up in the gear and stuff. I tell people all the time on social media posts when they ask, what do I need to get into overlanding? Just use what you got. Start there. Figure out what you need. When I first got into this, I was sleeping in a hammock. I had a ground tent for me when me and my kids would go out, and we had a blast. Now I've figured out some things that just make life a little, a little simpler, a little easier when you're out there. I've got a nice camp stove.
Take the exit onto US 412 towards Paramount.
I've got a nice camp stove by Camp Chef. I've got a single burner jet boil. Both of those are, really nice stuff. They're really nice cook stoves. I have upgraded from the 1 pound propane bottles to a 5 pound tank, just so I don't have to refill them a lot and don't have to deal with how many do I need to take on this trip. We've got the teardrop camper and a rooftop tent on that now, so we can go places and deal with adverse weather a little better, so we're not turned off by that. It's a little more comfortable than sleeping on the ground in a ground tent. And for us, it's just about options now. If you saw a recent video, my wife got a new rooftop tent for her Grand Cherokee. And so for us, it's about options. Sometimes we'll just take her Jeep. Sometimes I'll just take mine and sleep in a hammock. Sometimes I'll take mine in the camper like I am this weekend. And so for us, it's about those options. But we have grown into that over the years. I didn't start out buying the expensive things or accumulating the nice stuff. You don't have to start out with a rooftop tent. You don't have to start out with a Jeep or a 4Runner. If you've got an old beat up pickup that's got 4-wheel drive, or a Subaru or Toyota RAV4, something with all-wheel drive that can just get you to some more remote places, then go. Absolutely take off. So what would I say are the essentials to doing this? Definitely a 4-wheel drive vehicle. You need shelter and you need food. That's it. Whatever that means to you. A Walmart stove to cook on, burgers, Mountain House meals to eat, just something to boil water so you can eat the Mountain House meals, and a tent and a sleeping bag would be the basics. And then it's everything from there. And once you progress into it, yeah, it's going to affect what type of vehicle you buy. It's going to affect if you want something that's super capable because you want to go to the most remote places you can, or if it's something more comfortable because that's more your style. There's no right way or wrong way to do it. There's no right or wrong vehicle. If you watch our channel, the thing I think is great about it is my friends that I wheel with on a regular basis all have different rigs. We've got Jeeps, we've got 4Runners, we've got Tacomas, we've got ZR2s. Different generations of that, different years. So it doesn't matter. So what about locations? That's going to be the hard part for some people because we're very blessed in Arkansas to have 2 very large national forests with lots of public land and trails to explore. Lots of great campsites that are free. But we've got friends that live in Oklahoma. Oklahoma doesn't have a lot, if any, public lands with, there's no national forest there. There's some wildlife preserves and that sort of thing, but we just got back from Oklahoma last weekend, took my wife's Grand Cherokee there, and spent a weekend, and we had a blast traveling around Oklahoma on dirt roads in remote areas, a few trails that we found. Had to pay for campsites, which, you know, you just do what you got to do. But we had a blast. And would I say we were overlanding? Yes, absolutely. But if you're in an area that has public lands, national forests, that's going to be your go-to. Go there, explore those places, get the motor vehicle use maps for those national forests, and go see what you can find. And if you can't find anything, keep looking. And if you don't, then, you know, you're gonna have places with wildlife refuges. You're gonna have wildlife preserves. You're gonna have some lands like that that will let you camp on them and explore them. And, you know, traveling from those places from one to another, living out of your vehicle, you know, make the best of it. Or I know a lot of people who live in places that don't have public lands, that's how they spend their vacations. You know, that's how they take off on a Friday and a Monday, and people in Texas come to Arkansas because Texas doesn't have much public land. So there's options. Just surely, you know, somewhere close to you, you've got places to, you know, to try. And I definitely would recommend, you know, if you're concerned about your gear, then go to a state park. Go to a private campground just to test your gear. Because the last thing you want to do is get out into some remote area where there's no cell signal, you've never tested your gear before, maybe you pulled it out of the attic where it's been stored for, you know, 15 years, and you didn't know your tent has a hole in it and it starts raining. Or you've got your grandpa's old Coleman stove and you don't even know if it works, so, and something happens and you can't eat dinner. You know, that's not fun. So get out, test your gear, test it in your backyard. You know, your kids will love that if you want to do it with your kids. So there's options, but that's the best place to look for, is anything public lands, national forests, national parks, BLM. If you're fortunate enough to live out west, you've got tons of options with national forest, BLM land. Man, you're lucky. You got no excuses if you live out west. Now, we'll say that your vehicle choice will determine some of the places you can go and some of the places you can't. And there is no such thing as a perfect overlanding vehicle. Everything has its pros and cons. You may have a full-size truck that has tons of storage space for the whole family, but that's going to limit you in what trails you can go down. You may have a two-door Jeep Wrangler that can go anywhere and do anything, but it'll limit how much stuff and how many people you can take along with you. So there's no such thing as the perfect overlanding vehicle. Everyone has its pros and cons, and you just need to figure out as you go along what your priorities are. For me, it was having a Jeep Wrangler because I didn't want to be limited to where I could go. I wanted a vehicle that could take me anywhere I wanted to go. Now, I do have some compromises in ride quality when I'm on the pavement, though it's not bad by any stretch, but it's not as comfortable as a 4Runner, but it's still comfortable to me. And I'm a little bit limited in the amount of space I have. So just know that your vehicle choice will kind of determine what your overlanding style and your priorities are, and what you want to do when you're out and about. So, but there's no perfect overlanding rig. But there's probably one that's perfect for you. After spending time this weekend in Land Between the Lakes and just hanging out with these guys and talking about all this stuff, I really think overlanding, or being an overlander, really boils down to a lifestyle. It's not just an activity you do, it's a part of who you are. It's this mentality and desire of preparedness, being self-sufficient, this drive to explore and get away from the cities and just go experience the outdoors. And I think that's really the essence of what being an overlander is. And I think it carries into your day-to-day life. I mean, unfortunately, I don't get the privilege of doing this full time. I've got a normal job and, you know, have to make a living, so I don't get to go out and explore, but the drive is there. This mentality of preparedness is there. This being independent is there. And that carries over into, you know, being able to fix my own rig, having necessary provisions if something, you know, some weather catastrophe goes wrong, you know, and I'm without power for a week at home, you know, just all that stuff. I think that's at the core of what being an overlander is, and I love it. So, I'd like to know your thoughts. You know, what is being an overlander to you? Do you agree with me? Do you want to add to it? Take away from it? You know, there's no right or wrong definition. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's really just my opinion. And I'm sorry if the wind is horrible. It's very windy today. But anyway, I hope some of this stuff resonates with you. I hope some of it maybe motivates you and challenges you to get out there and just go experience everything that nature and the outdoors has to offer. I love the saying, "Not all who wander are lost," and I think that applies. I love getting out and wandering. That's one of the things that made me fall in love with this, is just seeing so many amazing places that so many people don't see anymore because they don't get off the pavement. They don't take the path less traveled. So get off the pavement. Take that path less traveled. Go see new things. Go experience new places. Thanks for listening to me ramble. I really appreciate it. If you would, like the video. If you did like it, don't lie to me. Subscribe to the channel. Who knows what's coming next. I appreciate your support. And I genuinely thank you.